For the past decade, Celtic have been on top in Scottish football until now. We've been taken off the top of the ladder. The league title was heading to Ibrox for the first time in about a decade. You know, they've won the league. Celtic's dominance is over. Rangers deservingly winning the title, but a lot of problems have flagged up at Celtic this season. We went down without a fight. We were very, very poor. You look at how we've played this season, it's not been good enough. Everything that we kind of built towards in those magnificent seasons under Brendan Rodgers has been absolutely diminished from head to toe. There's so many different things that you can point towards from different dates to see this coming. You know, it was kind of the signs were there. We ignored them. We kind of let them go by because of the trophies we were winning. And now this season, and the season of all seasons, the seasons we thought we're going to win 10 in a row, it's all managed to come together, and a disaster has happened. And as Neil Lennon once said, an unmitigated disaster has happened. Celtic need to rebuild in the summer. We all know that. There's got to be a new manager. There's got to be a director of football. There's a new CEO in town as well. It's a big change for Celtic. We're going down a new route. We're joining the kind of modern footballing world, you could say. It's great. I'm excited. We all are, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot tougher than I think anybody could anticipate, in all honesty. This is something that's going to take a lot longer than what we originally thought. When we seen that Brendan Rodgers would eventually be leaving, we knew it was going to be a lot of change for the club. We knew that it would come, and you know, it would usher in a new period for us, a new generation, you could say. And we all thought it would happen quite naturally, and I think we all thought it would happen quite positively as well. But the way things have came out and happened this year, it's made it a lot tougher than anyone could have anticipated. It's very, very anxious actually to think about it, because we don't know how long it's actually going to take, and I think we've got to be prepared for that. So why is that? Why is it going to be tougher? So first things first, the fitness at the club is not at standards. A good standard is very poor. You look at how we were as a team, individuals especially, back when Brendan Rodgers was in charge, everybody was in superb shape. You look at someone like Moussa Dembele especially, he was in an elite condition. He was an athlete in his prime. He was so young at the time, but he was just so advanced, and it really gave some of the players a showing up. But it's not just him, it was the same with everybody. Everybody had a really good level of fitness, and Brendan Rodgers really revolutionised a side that was lacking that under Ronnie Dyer's team, and even beforehand when Neil Lennon was first in charge. It was his famous last words almost, as Celtic manager Neil Lennon this tenure. You know, the players have to be fitter. I feel like we heard that every week. It never changed, and it was his job as a manager to fix that, to change that. Surely, you know, after a couple of months, those issues should not be flagging up. Usually that's something that would change, but no, they still happened. And you know what, it cost us a lot this season. We couldn't keep up, we couldn't keep going in games. You look to the past, you look under Brendan Rodgers, and even when Neil Lennon first came in as Celtic manager, we were winning games late on, we were scoring late goals, and that's because the players were fit enough to go out and get those wins and play for those goals towards the end of games. We couldn't do that this season, and key players were missing out on football. Albie Ayeti, we spent £5 million on, has never looked fit. Lee Griffiths, who we know is a really good goal scorer, has missed so much of the season, and it's kind of affected his whole career, but still, he missed so much of the season because he wasn't fit. Even David Turnbull, when he was first in the team, you know, he was only playing 70 minutes max at a time, because he wasn't fit enough, and that problem is so deep-rooted at the club, it seems. It doesn't look as though it's going to get fixed. Kennedy's been in charge for a little bit now. Even the indications show that it's not going to be fixed under him. This isn't going to be an easy one. You know, getting players to a standard that is elite level fitness doesn't come overnight. This is something that's going to take a lot of hard work, and we need a manager like Brendan Rodgers. That's why I want somebody anyhow who's going to come in and prioritise that at the top of the coaching. We need players to be fit. We need elite level players. It's ultimately what's seen players like Kieran Tierney, Stuart Armstrong, Moussa Dembele get these big moves. Look how good they're doing in the Premier League and at an international level. Those players were just well trained, fit enough, could last games, and we're missing that now. When Ronnie Dyer first came into the club, when John Collins was assistant manager, Ronnie Dyer said that John Collins was fitter than some of the players at Celtic. It just goes to show you the issues. They've always been there under Lennon, and to get those out of the club, it's not going to be quick. Again, adding to the kind of length to this rebuild, we're talking about a completely new structure at the club. This is something we're all excited about, but it's something that certainly isn't going to be, I think, an instant success. I hope it is, I really do, but I think we've got to be patient with this. We've got to understand these things take time. It's not like a magic wand's been waved and everything's going to be okay. This is the first time Celtic have really stepped into this kind of mould. You know, this is something completely new to Celtic supporters and Celtic as a club. You know, having a director of football, a new CEO. I mean, we've been so used to Peter Love for the last 17 years, it's obviously going to be difficult adapting to change, I think, for the club. I hope we do adapt to it, and I hope we adapt to it soon, because ultimately it's about getting the league title back as quick as we can. But you've got to be understandable to the fact that this is going to be a new experience for everybody involved in the club. I think Dominic Mackay's going to come in. I think he's going to be great for the club, and I'm certainly excited to get a director of football in. I think that's the way we have to go. You look at all the elite clubs around Europe, they're all doing it, and even Rangers, they've followed that mould as well. When they're following that mould, and you see it in Manchester City, you see it everywhere. This is the way forward. This is modern football, and this will hopefully bring a new sort of run into the club, which takes us forward, not just domestically but on a European stage. We need to be. We've been playing catch up for too long. We've been getting the bare minimum for so long. I think, especially in Europe, that this is probably the next step into trying to advance the club. And we need that, but we've got to understand it's not just going to be as quick as waving a wand, as I mentioned. I'm very excited to see what a director of football and a new manager bring, of course, but this is something that if fans aren't patient with, it's going to be even more toxic than what we've seen this season. Ultimately, it's not going to be a Celtic man at the top this time. It's going to be someone with a know-how of the game, and I think that people will need to be patient with that, even though there will be a section of the support that won't have patience for that, which is annoying, but we need to. And it's certainly going to be exciting. This is hopefully something that manages to attract players of the highest calibre as well, because this is what players want to work with, systems that they want to work with. And of course Celtic has been looked at as a stepping stone club for God knows how long now, and we've come to accept that. But it's certainly, I think, something more exciting for players to come to when they know there's a system there that all the top clubs are going with. You see it just happened at Manchester United this week. Darren Fletcher's been put in a role that is similar to what we're doing here, and whether it's Enzo Maresca who comes in as manager, and whether it's Fergal Harkin who comes in director of football, whoever it is that fills these roles, we need to be patient with them. We do, and fans need to understand that. This is something that could take a bit of time for so many different reasons. That comes into the fitness and ties into what I'm going to speak about next. It's going to be exciting. I'm dying to see who comes in, but let's not expect overnight success. And finally, next season recruitment has to be better. Ultimately, that's going to be a big part of this rebuild, and something that could take a lot more time. We're looking at so many changes on the park. I know we're going through changes off the park, of course, we spoke about that, but on the park you're looking at a lot of changes. The team showed this season it's just quite not good enough. I think that's how you'd simply say it. It's just not good enough. The recruitment was very poor in the window. For as good as it looked on paper, it didn't turn out to be. You can look to maybe David Turnbull, and now John Joe Kenny is perhaps the only good enough signings this season, which is really annoying and really frustrating, because on paper, as I said, it looked like a cracking window. But it's not even just the names themselves that make this a disappointing transfer window and how we need to change in terms of recruitment. It's the fact of how we've conducted ourselves over the past. You can only blame the Celtic board for the players that we've missed out on because of penny pinching and all the rest of it. We've missed out on so much potential, so many great players, because we haven't been willing to spend the money. We haven't been ready to shell out an extra couple of £1 million. We haven't been competing with clubs down south for fees that we can afford. John McGinn, the prime example. How we let that slip through our fingers is still beyond me. I'll never understand it. The most recent example, Ivan Toney. For God's sake, the guy was in the stadium and we refused to pay an extra, £3 or £4 million for him. Now he's tearing it up for Brentford. He's proven his dafties down there. So, that's our own fault. We can't blame anybody but ourselves for issues like that. You can go as far back as even Stephen Fletcher. We've done the same with him all those years ago. Things have to change how we recruit, and you're hoping that comes with this new CEO, with Dominic Mackay coming in, and with a director of football coming in. We're hoping that we recruit smarter. You can go as far back as Rodgers as well and say that the recruitment has been really poor. Apart from the standouts like Dembele and Edouard, there was so much gumph that we brought in. So many players who just weren't good enough. They weren't Celtic standard, and we don't talk about it enough. Recruitment has to change. These policies that we've had at the club haven't been good enough. It's been costing us, and ultimately it's what's going to leave us behind if we don't fix that. You're looking at a team that's needing rejuvenated, that needs furnished basically. How many signings do we need this window, and how quickly we're going to get it done? It's not easy, especially with the way the world is just now. Money isn't exactly readily available to just go and splash out on players, but Celtic have had an issue for years and just not been willing to pay the money that we should be paying. It's like we disrespect these clubs. Also, very quickly, we've got to remember we're losing a couple of key players this window, if not more than what we expect. You look at Frimpong leaving in January. No one expected that. No one at all. When he left, it was a shock to us all, and that just showed that this could be even bigger and worse off for Celtic than what we ever imagined. Players like him leaving took us all by surprise. How many more players are waiting in the wings to leave? And we know for a fact that Edouard and Ayer will likely be off too. Replacing them is not going to be easy, and the club need to get ready to pay money to replace these players. So to finish up, this rebuild is going to be a lot harder than what I think we ever originally imagined. This is something we're going to have to be patient with. We really do, and I urge every fan to be patient with it. What we've seen this season was disastrous of every level and everywhere, and everybody involved in the club was disastrous. That's simply it. And to come back from all of that is hopefully going to be a quick one, but I think we have to understand that it might not be. Give whoever the new man is some time, unless of course it's drastically bad what we're seeing, but you know what I mean, we need to understand that this is going to be something to be excited about but patient about. It's going to be an interesting couple of months at the club, to say the least. We'll talk about it as it all happens. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.